Hello, 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 beautiful people. It is Zip Mouth Motivation. You know, this is the Zip Mouth Motivation show. As usual, y'all know, tap into 101.5 Indie Radio. I have the caption down here at the bottom where you can get onto the show and listen to me every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And I forgot to mention we will be back on Just TV on June 24th. So make sure you tap in. So if you want to see the video version or if you want to listen, it's really up to you, whatever you want to do. So y'all know, like, I got this big smile on my face, and I have this big smile on my face because I got a guest. So I'm always happy when I have a guest because that means I don't have to sit here and talk to myself. But it's okay. But y'all know I don't care about talking to myself because I would talk y'all for 2 hours straight just talking. So, but I'm gonna bring my guest up because I want to put the shine on her. So this is a wonderful lady, and I'm not sure where she's from, but she's going to tell us where she's from. She's going to tell us her name, and we are going to be entertained, but we're going to gain some knowledge as well because she's coming with knowledge today. Hello, hello, beautiful lady. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for this opportunity for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So, to explain to your listeners, my name is Hanna Kok, and I know some people start to sniggle when they hear my surname, but it actually means cook. It's Afrikaans or a Dutch name, so it doesn't mean anything fancy, it just means cook. And
Right.
I'm living in South Africa, but I'm from the Netherlands originally, but I've been living in Southern
Mhm.
Africa for 40 years. And I am trained as an educational kinesiologist, which is a mouthful, a brain gym, well, that is also a brain gym practitioner, same thing, but also as an allergy practitioner and a medical intuitive. So it's all about understanding what are the underlying unresolved emotional issues that throw our body out of balance, bring our mind into
Mm.
dis-ease, and then the body goes into disease. That's what
Wow,
I'm all
that's a
about.
lot. That is a lot. That is a lot. So you're in South Africa right now. You're from the Netherlands. How do you like what's the difference in the places? How do you like the which is I like South Africa better or I'm ready to go home?
No, I prefer South Africa, even though it has its challenges, is not so organized as you would see in a Western country. Um, but the weather is gorgeous. We got space. I live close to the ocean. If I want to live like I live here, I would, in the Netherlands, I would have to be a multi-million dollar, really very rich to be able to live like that. And here I can live a simple life close to nature in a beautiful place. So that's what I like. And
Oh,
I'm married to a wonderful man, and that's also what's keeping me here.
definitely. That wonderful man will definitely keep you where you need to be kept. So I understand. So you've been working in body and mind and spirit space for over 30 years. What first led you to this healing path and what keeps you passionate about it?
Well, I'm a trained teacher, a biology and chemistry teacher. And one day I was looking at my school bag, looking at that bag, saying, this bag has been from school to school to school. So from high school to teacher training college, now teaching. And I'm going like, well, what do I know about life? Here I am supposed to teach kids not just biology and chemistry. It's really about life. And what
Right.
do I know? So I thought it's time to explore the world. And I ended up in Lesotho because I just written people all over the world. Where can I go to? And this was still in 1984. So it's a long time ago. And
Mm.
I was going like, no, never heard of the country Lesotho. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a little country landlocked in South Africa. And I thought, no, I can't go to South Africa. I mean, really, with, apartheid and this and that, and no ways I can go there. But this was all right because it was an independent little country. And I met then my first husband there,
Mm.
and we had a great interest in personal development. And we were studying something called a 9-step emotional process. I don't know, remember all the 9 steps, but I remember the first step was realize you have an emotion, take responsibility for that emotion. It's for me to do something about it. And the last step was now change your behavior. And I'm going
Right.
like, yeah, duh. How do you do that? That's not easy. You can have, I mean, I tried. I had all these good intentions of changing my behavior, not to be so critical or not to be this or that, whatever it was at the time. I kept falling back into this old behavior.
Right.
And then fate had it that we were we'd been a few times to the States, and we met somebody there who was into this brain gym stuff. And then one day while I was back home, I got a letter from a friend of that guy saying, my name is Carla Hannaford. um, I'm from the United States. Can I come and visit? Well, we lived
Right.
in a really remote village that we were pretty lonely. So anybody that wanted to come visit was welcome. And she even had my first name in in her surname. I thought, this is heaven sent. I mean, come
Right.
visit. And she started teaching this brain gym to me, and she loved it. She loved coming to me because it was a real Africa experience, because we lived in this village. Our car park was filled with horses and donkeys, and the
Mm.
kids were, running around barefoot, and people carrying the stuff on their head. That it was really an African experience. And so
Right.
she taught me this brain gym. And that is when I learned how you can change your behavior with these techniques through movement and tapping on the body. And so through the body, you could make shifts. And that's how it basically started. Then he passed away, and it was like, okay, we are running a trading station. We've
Right.
always been talking about making a life instead of making a living. Now I'm
Mm.
going to make a life for the both of us. And I'm going to now do something with this training that I received, and started to turn that into profession. That was then, you know, about 30 years ago.
Wow, I love the significance of how you did everything, but the major part that just stuck out for me was making a life instead of making a living. Because we definitely get stuck in that mindset of making a living and we forget about life. Because the life is the most important thing. The living will happen with the life. So I love that. Can you
Exactly.
explain what educational can you explain what education
Kinesiology.
kinesiology is? I was struggling with that word and how it
I know,
connects to the
I know.
body. Yeah, I was
Okay,
struggling. I was like,
so
I'm gonna get this right.
so kinesiology is about the study of movement, and there are different forms of kinesiology. You've got educational kinesiology, you've got applied kinesiology. I don't even know how many kinesiologies there are, but they have one thing in common, is that we use something called muscle testing. So when you
Okay.
stick your arm out, or you work with a client, they stick their arm out, and you push on that arm, and you say, body, give me a yes, and body, give me a no. Then there is a difference between the yes and the no, which then gives you the ability to tap into a person's subconscious mind. You
Mm.
can check now what their beliefs they have. In the kinesiology, they also check, okay, what does this body now, what does this person need, because you set a goal, what do they need to shift this? And sometimes it is tapping, or sometimes we work with affirmations or
Right.
a visualization,
Mm-hmm.
regression, whatever it is. But it's all about addressing the root cause because, behavior comes from somewhere. Maybe something happened in our past
Right.
that caused us to look at the current situation with this perspective that we have now. And when we learn to reframe it, you realize, oh, okay, it was not that my dad, I'm not talking in general, not about my situation. Well,
Right.
actually, talking about my situation, I'm number 5 out of 6 children. And when we did some age regression, I was hospitalized for 6 weeks shortly after birth. And I had misinterpreted that as abandonment. Because, here
Mm,
you're with your family, and all of a sudden
right.
you're lying in this little bed, tied up, thing through
Right.
my nose, trying to feed me through my nose. And of course, you interpret it as a weak old baby instead of the wisdom that you have now. And when you now
Right.
go back to a situation like that, you reframe it, you realize they did love me. My mother went out of her way to pump the milk and bring it to the hospital, even though she had to leave my sister alone in the garden for an hour. It was like she went out of her way. She definitely loved me. But in the
Absolutely.
beginning, it was like you and then if you have that belief, like, you know, they abandoned me, and then we make the following conclusion that there must be something wrong with me. Now we interpret
Mm-hmm.
everything after that, like, see, there's something wrong with me. See, I'm not good enough. See, and so you keep creating an unhappy life based on an experience that you had, many right in the
Right.
beginning.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You've created the Thrive Web app. What inspired
The
you to
I
develop
Thrive web.
iThread web app? I can't talk today. What inspired you to develop it, and what transformations have you seen from the users?
Oh, it's been amazing. I'll be honest with you. So it started with I'm also trained as as an allergy practitioner, and what we
Mm,
learned there was to retrain a person's body to be in harmony with an allergen. So instead of being it a food allergy or pollen allergy or things like that, you work on the body, and it's a 11 to 16-week program minimally, and then you have to work on the person, so it was time consuming and costly for the clients. But the results were amazing. I mean, kids could eat their milk and dairy again, and gluten allergies, and especially pollens is difficult to avoid. So we
right,
really got good results with that. And then when I was trained as a medical intuitive, I also learned a way of doing something about allergies, but that was with words. I didn't have to use work on the body. And so I
right,
put the two together and started making these recordings, started letting people listen to them, and we had
right,
amazing results. I mean, somebody that used to get terrible kidney pain from eating a piece, not even half a wedge of an orange, could now eat a whole orange without a problem. Or
right,
people being able to eat dairy again, or um, people that have been on allergy medication for decades, and strong ones with steroids in it, are off their
right,
allergy medication. That's how it, or cat allergies, that's another big thing.
right, right.
So that's how it started, and then from there I branched out into other topics, and the results have been really mind-blowing. I'll be honest with you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Most people don't connect the emotional state, like resentment or holding grudges, with the physical symptom, especially like in the hormonal imbalance. Can you give us a breakdown of how that connects and how it works?
Absolutely. So there are a few ways you can look at it. I'll just in general in the health story. story. One is that when you are feeling stressed, when you're
Mm-hmm.
unhappy, your body creates different neuropeptides than when you're happy. I mean, you've heard of the serotonin and oxytocin and
Right.
dopamine, all these things that make us feel good. And then on the other hand, you have your cortisol and adrenaline and, these stress hormones.
Right.
Now, these hormones float through the body, through the bloodstream, and then they come to a cell, and the cell has receptors and it will hook onto a cell.
Mm-hmm.
And it will trigger a physical reaction in the cell, depending on what type of hormone hooked onto that receptor. So if it
Right.
is a stress hormone, then the cell goes into stress mode and starts working very hard. And I don't even know exactly what it all does, but I know it wears itself down very much so and shortens its lifespan. And the
Mm.
same is the opposite. If you have the happy hormones, then the cell calms down, and the chemical reactions are very different. It can now create the proper proteins and whatever it needs to do. It functions properly. It can repair itself, and it lengthens the lifespan of the cell. So
Okay.
that is just a direct link. Now, the
Right.
other thing is, have you heard of meridians? The acupuncturists stick these needles in,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the meridians, we have different meridians linked to different organs. So you have like a kidney meridian, or you have a liver meridian, but you also have a circulation 6 meridian, which is linked to your whole hormonal system. And
Right.
especially for women, it's linked to the whole estrogen, progesterone cycle. Is all managed by that um, hormonal system, which is now
Right.
affected by that meridian.
Mm.
Now, certain thought patterns will block a meridian or close them down so the energy flow doesn't flow properly through those meridians. Because let me take a step back for your listeners who don't know what meridians are. Your
Right.
meridians are basically energy pathways that your life force flows through the body, through the meridians. And they have scientifically proven that they are there because the people that discovered them would inject themselves with radioactive material at the begin point, and then they would trace how that meridian would run. So it's not just random, it's particular paths. Just like you have veins and nerve roots in the body, the meridians have their own paths.
Okay.
And then I learned with my training as the kinesiologist that these meridians are affected by certain thought patterns. And
Mm.
holding grudges, not being able to forgive, is
Right.
the thought pattern that inhibits the energy flow in the circulation 6 meridian. Another name for that same meridian, it's linked to the pericardium, which is like the sac around the heart.
Right.
So
Right.
holding grudges really throws out our whole hormonal system.
And I can believe
That's
that.
basically how it works.
I definitely can believe that, holding grudges and holding on to things from the past. But what if, just to clear, so what if there is old trauma that you're holding on to and you don't know it?
Mhm.
It's like you said, you viewed you being in the hospital as abandonment. So what if someone else is going through something like that and they're holding grudges? How would they be able to listen to their body to be able to let that thing go so that they won't have this hormonal imbalance?
That's a good question. Um, First of all, it's good to find out, what has happened around your birth and your early childhood memories, what is going on there. That can then give you an idea where the problems are.
Right.
If you have quite severe hormonal imbalances, then you might need to work with a professional that knows what to look for. So, for example, if I work with a client, I have specific questions I ask for, like, you know, were you a planned baby? If not,
Right.
then you already have that rejection because
Hmm.
a child knows how a parent felt when they found out that they were pregnant. It's really weird.
Absolutely.
Subconsciously, you store that. And so
Absolutely.
if the parents go like, oh, shit, that was not planned,
Right.
then you hold that.
Right.
Like I know with my parents, I'm number five out of six children. I know they were having financial troubles. And I really believe that their first reaction was like, oh, another mouth to feed. How are we
Right.
going to do that?
Right.
So that on top of, the 6 weeks of hospitalization, that made it, self-esteem is a big
Right.
is a theme for me of having to learn to love and accept myself because it started right in the beginning.
In the beginning, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do your thoughts
But
of self blame? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, how do your thoughts of self
no, I'm
blame?
just saying,
How do your thoughts of
you
self
ask your
blame?
question.
Oh, okay. How do your thoughts of self blame or regret affect our hormonal cycle and emotional regulation?
So, as I said to you, when you have that self blaming, when you have that anger and resentment, that then causes stress hormones. Now, the interesting thing is that, well, especially when you're older, I know the adrenal glands take over some of the production. When you've been through menopause, they take over the production of your estrogen.
Right.
So then, if you're stressed, your body can now not make estrogen through the adrenal glands. It will use it to create adrenaline or other stress hormones.
Mhm.
When I just found that when I work with clients, forgiveness is a huge topic that I work with. And once we do that forgiveness work and making peace with our past, reframing it, realizing, okay, even if it was unacceptable, this is the gold I got out of it. This is
Right.
how it shaped me. I have the opportunity to become better instead of bitter from it. The body just starts to regulate itself.
Right.
Another thing that I found as well, that nowadays, and again, I was one of those, I was resisting the fact that I was a woman. I didn't want to be a girl. I didn't want to
Hmm.
be a woman. So that rejection of your femininity
Right.
also has a negative impact on your hormonal system. Yeah.
Absolutely. 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 What are three practical steps women can take today to start supporting their hormonal health through mindset and emotional release?
Well, the easiest step they can do is, as I said to you, as we spoke about in the beginning, I've got this I Thrive web
Right.
app. And I have a gift for your listeners that if they go to hannakok.com, they can sign up for this I Thrive app for free for 35 days. No
Right.
credit card needed, just results. And there are two topics there that they could, depending on their age, that they can work with. One is um, carefree periods, and the other one is menopause and menopause, because men have their own version of menopause.
They do.
And
Yes, they
when
do.
you and then what you do is you just play these eye thrives, which you'll have my voice whispering in your ear. You can play them loud if you want to hear what I'm saying. But if you say, you know what, I don't have time, I trust you enough, or you can listen maybe to one set out loud and you get an idea of what I'm saying. And then you play them super softly while you sleep. And women have seen up to 85% reduction of problematic symptoms. Less
Mm,
bleeding, less pain, less PMS, less hot flushes. Again, the mood swings stabilize very nicely. Um, and that is what women can do easily. And
okay.
most of the time it changes already within 35 days, so you can do it for free. If you like the program, you
Right.
can then sign up for longer, and it's super affordable.
Wow. I think that is a great gift. So let's stop for a second. Can you tell them one more time how they can get there and they can go ahead and try it out? So then they get 35 days for free. And she's going to give you the website. And I know I don't usually do this, but I want you all to catch this because I still have more questions for Miss Hannah.
Right. So the website to go to for this free app is Hannah, is my name. Now, I know English people love to put an H at the end of Hannah, even though my Hannah is without the H. So I've got two domains. Hanna Kok. So Kok is KOK. You have to spell it like that. So it's Hanna Kok, either with the H at the end of the Hannah or without the H of the Hannah. HannahKok.com. If you go there, either one will work and you'll get access to that page.
Definitely. I thank you for
So,
that. I definitely thank you for that, Miss Hannah. What role does intuitive wisdom or the inner voice play in the healing of the hormonal sabotage?
well, I think if you're willing to look at yourself, willing to listen to how are you talking to yourself, you know, how often do we get upset when somebody's rude to us, right?
All
We
the
don't
time.
like it.
Hmm.
All the time. Now, I must tell you a funny story, and then I'll come back to what I was just saying. I was working with my son one day doing homework, and he kept saying, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid, I can't get this math, I'm so stupid. And so I said to him, yes, you're so stupid. And he got so angry. I said, I'm just repeating what you just said. See, you
Right.
don't like to be called stupid. So why are you calling yourself stupid? Now,
Absolutely.
when we get upset, when people are rude to us, then I say, listen carefully. How are you talking to you? How
Mm,
rude are we to ourselves? How hard are we on ourselves? Pushing. I mean, how often do you say, I must do that, I have to, I need to? We're just pushing and driving ourselves so harshly. And what we want to do is be kind to ourselves. What is the kindest thing I could do for myself right now? There's
right.
nothing wrong with having a rest. Because if we don't rest while we're healthy, then our body gets sick so that we can rest. If you have
Abs-
hormonal problems that you have to lie down on the couch for 5 days because the pain is so bad, maybe if you start being less harsh with yourself and being gentle and kind with yourself and let go of your guilt by forgiving yourself for whatever you've done in the past,
right.
your body doesn't have to create rest for you by giving you those symptoms. So that is how you can
Absolutely.
start to use that intuitive guidance of how to be kind to yourself, and your body will start to follow.
Right. I love that. I just like everything that I'm just so like in awe. I'm like I can't even ask so I want so many questions, but I know I don't have time to ask a lot of questions. Um, you've worked with countless women. Can you share a story of someone's transformation of life, or maybe your own story that this to help this emotional and hormone imbalance? Like, can you share a story of some kind of this is just a transformation?
Oh, I've got a story. It's not my story, it's a story of a client. So this lady was an army major, and she had period problems of note. And on my website, she has, given her testimonial because she felt like the change was so amazing that she was willing
Right,
to openly tell other people what she'd gone through. So just imagine the following scenario. She used to have 5 to 10 days of pain and heavy bleeding. She would be in the field, heavy bleeding, no toilets, no running water, surrounded by men in the bush, you know.
right,
So that was terrible. She called herself the Major from Hell because in that time of the month, she just couldn't function. She was also on. She had terrible migraines. She was on blood pressure medication. She was on quite a few things. She'd gone to the gynecologist. They'd given her the Mirena IUD, interuterus device, that is
right,
supposed to stop the bleeding, but it didn't
right,
stop anything. And she also had endometriosis stage 4 on top of it all, which also causes a lot of pain. And the gynecologist had tried everything. So
right.
she came to me, and we put her on the app. And then we did quite a bit of forgiveness work. I
Mm,
can't remember, it doesn't matter what the details were.
yeah,
But her life transformed completely. Her period stopped completely because with the IUD, with the Mirena, you actually stop bleeding. Um,
hmm,
so no more pain, no more mood swings. She had so much energy now that she surprised herself. So she's not losing 5 to 10 days out of her work month.
right,
And the the doctor went in with a scope to look what's going on. Her endometriosis looking amazing. He says, I don't know what you've done, but it's
right.
looking amazing. And she basically got her life back
That's
within three
beautiful.
months.
So within 3 months, this didn't take years to happen. This happened within a 3 month span.
And yes, no change of lifestyle, no change of diet,
Mm,
no supplements, nothing.
right.
Just the forgiveness work we did and the app. That's all we did.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
So
So everyone, you heard her, forgiveness work in the app. So that's beautiful. And endometriosis is it's a very hard thing. I know a couple of women now that are going through endometriosis. And so that is very hard on the body, very hard on the mind, very hard on the spirit. So that is big for 3 months because sometimes people are like taking all kind of supplements, they have to change their diet, and then they're still having complications and they're trying to figure out like why this is how, so then they start accepting like this is life for me, and what you're telling us is this doesn't have to be life. This doesn't have to be life.
no, it
um
does not have to be life. No.
what would you say to a woman listening right now who feels like her body and mind are constantly fighting each other?
Hmm. What I would say to them is, first of all, start using the app. I just love my app. I use it myself every day. And you got to make peace with who you are because
Mm,
your body's, to give you a good example, one big problem that we have a lot of, and especially women have, are these autoimmune disorders.
Right.
Now, what I learned from my allergy training is that we basically, those people are allergic to themselves, meaning they dislike themselves. So
Mm.
if you have health issues, the biggest thing you can do for yourself is learn to love yourself as you are, warts and all. That's the
Right.
best you can do. But the problem is, our society has taught us, you're only worthy of something if you have a six-figure dollar business, or you're earning so much money and you have this fancy car and the house and the 2.5 children and whatever. We've
Right.
been made to believe that we need all these external things to prove our worth. And
Ooh.
even if you have all of them,
Doesn't matter.
it still feels empty. No,
Right.
it starts with loving who we are, warts and
Absolutely.
all, even if we have nothing to show for. And it's not just loving yourself, but also realizing how valuable we are, even when we do nothing. That's
Mm,
hard.
I love that. That is hard. I don't think people realize how hard it is to measure your value because you have so many things that you're fighting against. You have the world telling you one thing, and then you might have this person telling you another thing, and then you have trauma telling you another thing, and then you have the vision of yourself, who you think you should be at that moment telling you something else. For you to kind of like focus in and say, like, I value me. Like I value me for this, and this reason. But then here comes that internet, or here comes that image of what we're supposed to be again. So now you're back in the war again. So I don't think people understand when you say you have to find your value, and then people like, well, I don't know I don't know. Like I don't know who I am. It's just taking that moment. But it sounds like this app, I Thrive, is really a big assistance to being able to find that space where you can be you. And that's beautiful. I think that is
It's a
beautiful. And
starting
thank you.
point. It's a great starting point. There's also some great meditations on there. But the whole thing, because most people say, I don't have time to look after myself. It only
Mhm.
takes 2 minutes to put it on, and then you play it softly in the background while you're working or going about your day. So there's
Right.
no excuse that you have no time. You do have time to, if you don't have 2 minutes, put it on the while you sit on the toilet. Then you
Right.
know,
Right.
instead of scrolling and scrolling through your social media, take 2 minutes to put it on.
To put it
And you can
on.
also run it on the computer because it's a web app. So it runs off a website. It doesn't take
Right.
any space on your phone or your device because it runs off a website. It just needs a
Hmm.
little bit of data to play,
To to run.
not a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Hannah. I appreciate you for coming on the show today and really just giving us a breakdown of that hormonal part of us and the forgiveness. So on Zip Mouth Motivation Show, I always ask the guests to leave the listeners with something that could support them for a day, a week, a year, or your favorite quote or something that will help them get to the next level.
Well, there are two things. The easy way of saying the quote is the, it's not so much about what you eat. It's way more about what eats you, what is upsetting you inside. And
Mm,
the other thing that I live my life by is the problem. We tend to blame other people and we think things out there have to change. But the change always starts inside. If we want to create lasting change, it starts within. Wayne Dyer
right.
said it so nicely. When we start to change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. When we start to love ourselves more, our world becomes way more friendly place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And all of that resonated with me. So I appreciate you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners before we go?
Well, the only thing I want to say is that when they sign up for the app for free, there's also a great book that they can get access to download as a reference book, so that if they have an illness or symptoms, they can look it up there and get an idea of what inner conflict they have, and then they can work on resolving that conflict and get better. And of course, I am available for coaching as well. So if you sign up for the app, you get onto my mailing list and you'll have access to send me an email if you want, and then people can come for a free session and we can explore what you need.
Yes, ma'am. And Miss Hannah, are you on any social media platforms where people can connect with you if they are linked with you, or maybe they have a question, or maybe they're like, I need some coaching and they don't understand the websites as much?
Right. I am on LinkedIn and I
Okay.
am on Facebook and Instagram. But I'll be honest with you, especially with Facebook and Instagram, especially Facebook, I'm so reluctant to befriend people I don't know,
Right.
because then you get all of a sudden, oh, you look so beautiful, and then they start to like something like, oh, no. So the best is then connect with me on LinkedIn with
LinkedIn.
Hanna
Okay.
Kok. You should be able to find me there.
Okay.
And
And
I,
Cook is
I
with
think I
K.
sent you and I can email you. K O
Yes.
K.
KOK. So please
Yes.
connect with Miss Hannah Cook. She is available for coaching. She just offered the I Thrive app with us for free for 35 days. And I think that's so significant. It's like everybody does a 30-day. Miss Hannah did 35 days because she knows in this time you will see the results that you want to see. So we definitely appreciate you for coming on the show today. And you are welcome to come back anytime to give us some more knowledge, support, or just give us some
I would love
understanding of
to.
life. Yes, 30 years is like, I love knowledge. So that's my big thing. My master's degree is in education. And so I love to be educated, definitely. So I appreciate your time today. As usual, you all, you know, I love you. I respect you. Continue to tap in. Remember to tap into 101.5 Indie Radio every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And then we're going back to Just TV June 24th. You're going to catch us there again. I appreciate you all. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you, Miss Hannah, for coming. And thank you to all the listeners.